Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to episode number 6 of Conversations at Annual Conference. In this episode, I'm going to begin with a segment where I talk with Pastor Curt Mckee. Now, Curtis, or Curt as I tend to call him, is at St. Mark's in Louisville, Tennessee. Now, for you listening may not mean much, but for me, it means a lot because Louisville is my hometown, and the church, St. Mark's, is located directly beside the Louisville Elementary School, or what used to be the Louisville Elementary School. So I went to that school for 8 years growing up, and we would occasionally go over to St. Mark's for Cub Scouts and other kinds of meetings. So St. Mark's, I knew a lot of the people that were associated with that church. Some real good family friends of mine were members there. Sadly to say, they are now deceased. But St. Mark's has a special place in my heart, so I really enjoyed getting an opportunity to talk with Curt and hear some of the things that are happening there at St. Mark's. Hope you enjoy as well. I'm talking to Curt Mckee. You're at Louisville, right? St. Mark?
St. Mark.
St. Mark in Louisville. That was right next to the place where I went to elementary school right there, Louisville Elementary, and he's at the St. Mark Church there in the Maryville District. Just got a question for you, and the question's simple. What is it that your church is doing to make a difference for Jesus Christ in your community?
Well, first of all, we try to welcome everyone. Our motto sort of is making places for persons to encounter Christ. So what that is our part come to us, but the next part is to go to them. And so what we do is we work with the Louisville Christian Assistance Center, which helps needy people, and we support them financially, as well as we have persons who work there. We also support the Middle Settlements Elementary School, which I personally go 2 times a month, play the guitar and sort of read, and actually wrote a couple of songs for them too, and the kids love it with the first graders there. So we're trying to have touch points there. One of the things that we're asking ourselves as we go forward is the reality of, we have down on the lake nice big homes, and almost in our back door we have very small, modest homes. And how do we balance that? So how are we Christ to all these people? And we're still developing that as a possibility. But the main thing is, we want to let everybody know they're welcome. They can be a part of what we're doing and part of what God is doing at St. Mark's Church.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
In this next segment, I talk with Michael Bumgarner. He's a member at Gray United Methodist Church in the Johnson City District. And he talks about an activity that the church does each fall that just sounds like a great thing to do. I've never heard of another church doing it quite the way that he describes it. So I encourage you to listen. Perhaps, as I've said in the past, there is something here that might translate into your particular congregational setting, into your community. I'm hoping that's what all of these conversations at annual conference are doing, stirring you to say, that's something that I can do. That's something that our church can do. So listen to Michael and hear what Gray does each fall. Okay, I'm talking now with Michael Bumgarner from Johnson City. Tell me, what church are you with, Michael?
I'm with Gray United Methodist. Yeah.
What are some of the things that Gray is doing in your community to make a difference for Jesus Christ?
We're very actively involved in the community. Specifically, one thing we're very proud of is we actively reach out to the community. In particular, there's one program that I would specifically mention, is every fall we have a program that the community widely attends. It's a program where we hold an all-day festival, normally on a Saturday, where it's a program where we have all day singing. It's basically a fair where people are invited to come, and people come, they pay a small amount of money for items that we basically give away, whatever they wish to pay. It's small items that can go up to appliances for the home. It's basically for the needy families, but it's very well attended. And then, of course, we reach out spiritually to them, and it's just very well attended by the families. We have grown our church population through this program that reaches out to the population of our very small community, but very well thought of, and the community very well receives this program.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome.
I get the impression that maybe I'm an imposing kind of guy standing around with a microphone in my hand, sort of asking if you'd be interested in sharing a few words on tape, although it's not tape, it's really a digital file nowadays. And this is one of those instances. Robert Smith initially came by, and I asked him that question. He says, no, I don't think I want to talk right now. So I let him go on. I don't pursue you. I don't run you down and force you to talk to me. But it wasn't long before he came back and said, I've changed my mind. I do want to talk. And so I'm glad that he did, because he shared, as again, a very good set of ideas of what his church is doing to make a difference in his community. So this is Robert Smith from Hillsville First United Methodist Church. Hope you enjoy. I'm talking with Robert Smith here. Tell me which church you're at, Robert.
I'm at First United Methodist Church in Hillsville.
Hillsville, that's in the Wytheville District?
Wytheville District, that's right.
What is your church doing to make a difference in your community?
Well, First Methodist is a very active church. We are reaching out to our community. We have ministries such as what we call the Dinner Bell. It's a feeding program that we feed over 100 people on a Tuesday night. We also have what we call the Book People of First United Methodist Church. We're in our second year, and we've given out over 6,000 books to our students in the Carroll County. Also, the ministry we started up is what we call the Sock in the Box, where we have socks to give to the children at school, those that need it, and requested by the teacher. So we give it to the teacher, and the teacher distributes those socks. First Church is very active. During the week, we have been keeping up with how many people comes through the church, and we have between 700 to 800 people per week that comes through the church. So it's become almost like the community center for Hillsville.
If you could give some pointers or advice to other churches that are trying to find ways to get involved in their communities, what would you suggest?
I would suggest to get to know their community, to see what is needed. That's what we did. We just asked around, and getting to know the community, we realized that these are important outreach ministries for Carroll County and Hillsville, and another church can do the same thing with their community.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you shared with us.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed these segments in this podcast. Some of you ask, why do you do this? Well, I do this because I think that there are stories out there that need to be shared, that there are things that are happening in the churches of the Holston Annual Conference that are making a difference in the lives of people, not just here while they are living on this earth, but also eternally. There are souls that are being saved. There are lives that are being turned around, and we need to be able to share the stories of how that is happening. And that's one of the reasons that I do this podcast. And I'm hoping that you will take an opportunity to listen to all of the episodes. This was episode number 6. I'll probably put 2 up tomorrow for sure, one at 6 a.m. and one at noon. Maybe I'll have one up by 6 p.m. tomorrow night. But if I don't get them all up, rest assured that in the weeks ahead, I will continue until I use up all of the conversations that I have collected, because they all tell a story of how we are seeking to proclaim Jesus Christ through our words, through our deeds, and it's a story that I want to take the time to share. That's why I do these podcasts, and I hope that you will listen to them and maybe learn something and take the time to share the podcast with someone else. God bless, and listen tomorrow morning for episode number 7 of Conversations at Annual Conference. This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.